The compact SUV segment is one of many things. It's a place where you get some great family cars. It's a showcase of some of the latest technologies that you get in cars across the board. And it's also a place where technologies like radar-guided cruise control, radar-guided driver convenience systems have gotten democratized at a very quick rate. But the one thing that this segment offered first for people was accessibility to rugged vehicles.
Yeah.
And for that, we have to give credit to one car and one car alone to begin with, and that is the Renault Duster. But the topic right now is of the brand new Duster. Well, technically the Dacia Duster has been revealed for Europe, but essentially what we're expecting in the Indian market is that very car with, of course, a badge change, maybe some styling tweaks, but it is that same car, and it is this time around based on the CMF-B platform.
What excites me about the Duster? Actually, two things. First, this is the third generation Duster that's coming to India. Renault decided to skip the second generation and its facelift in entirety.
Yeah.
Right? The last new Duster we saw was sometime around 2019, where we got the 1.3 turbo and all of those few cosmetic tweaks. There is a brand new Duster finally. Second, look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks epic. It looks badass. It looks purpose built.
Yeah.
I think on the design front, you compare it to what it's going up against in this space. There's the Grand Vitara, there's the Creta, Seltos, Taygun, Kushaq, Aster, all of those cars. They look, let's say, like more of city slickers.
Urban.
They look urban. This one looks rugged, and it looks like it was built to go travel.
Yeah.
Right? The second thing that excites me about the design is how true it has stayed to the Bigster concept.
Yeah.
Now, Renault showcased that a little while ago, and this is essentially the Bigster concept, say for maybe change in dimensions and whatnot. Another thing is, when you look at the design, what I really appreciate is that they've kept the essence of the Duster alive.
Yeah.
Now, even though this is a third generation model, anyone who sees this car on the road is going to say, hey, that's a Duster.
Yeah.
And this is something that Ford pulled off with the Bronco, Land Rover pulled off with the Defender, where that silhouette is iconic, it's old school, it's retro, but there are elements that are modern and and in tune with 2023. You look at the lighting elements, the daytime running lamp pattern at the front, the V-shaped tail lamps, looks really nice. The rear door handles are on the C-pillar, lots of cladding, right? So it does look modern, but at the same time, it looks purpose-built as well.
Yeah, even stuff like the roof rails that the car gets. Generally, you do see roof rails, not just in the compact SUV segment, but even other smaller pseudo SUV segments across the board. But they're aesthetic roof rails, right? You can't, or at least you're not supposed to mount anything onto them. But the version that we've seen with the Dacia Duster, the roof rails, they have a load capacity of about 80 kilograms.
Yeah.
And similarly, you'll also see that, like you mentioned, the body cladding. Yes, it's applied across the board, but over here, there's a certain degree of thickness to them.
Yeah.
You've even got that little cladding on the door that looks a little bit Land Rover, almost Range Rover like rather.
Yeah.
So those elements are helping amplify the SUV factor with this, and even the ground clearance, it's supposed to be in the range of 210 to 220 millimeters. Now, why there's a range is something that we'll get to later on in this discussion, and if it's something that you already know about, type it into the comment section.
Right. I want to quickly move on to the interiors.
Yeah.
Right now, obviously, you and I have just seen photos and the B-rolls. But the interior for me of the original Renault Duster was always, a pain point of sorts.
Yeah.
I remember the Duster and then eventually the Terrano was one of the few first long-termers that I had, right, when I started off. And for the life of me, I could never get comfortable properly inside the cabin just because of how many ergonomic issues it had. Whether it was the power window switches that were tucked away under the handbrake, that steering column mounted audio controls that were, placed slightly awkwardly, the seat height adjust almost never functioning as intended. All of these ergonomic issues were kind of made the Duster quirky, but at the same time, a little bit of a pain to live with. This is something that I hope gets sorted with this one.
Yeah.
Primarily because you look at the design that they've chosen. They've gone for this functional meets minimal aesthetic, And definitely, I think they've taken inputs from someone who, say, maybe was involved with the Defender, just because of how squared off and, purposeful that interior
lot of
looks.
angular finishes all over the place.
Exactly. But it's not to say that it's not modern, right? There too, they've gone in with a digital driver's display. You have a free floating touchscreen. There are Type-C USB chargers. There's a wireless charger.
Yep.
No sunroof, oddly. But on the whole, the cabin does look like, it's built for utility more than, say, maybe outright premiumness.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, but I don't really see an issue with that. You think about the Duster, it was never really lacking for rear seat space. That's a trait that I hope gets carried forward in the new one. Boot space was actually phenomenal in the original Duster. Another trait that I hope gets carried forward to the new one.
Yeah, and the utilitarian touches are... I like how they've gone a little bit fine with how they've included some of these elements, like those U-clips, I think they're called. They're essentially accessory mounts that you see on different points of the cars. You'll see one near the AC vent, the central AC vent. You'll see one in the rear seat near the AC vent again. There's one on the tailgate itself. Essentially what these are accessory mounts. So you get like certain designed for Duster accessories, including a torch, including a mobile phone holder, including cup holders that you can put in the rear seat, and these can be attached pretty much anywhere throughout the car. So it's giving you that added degree of flexibility or usability as and when you need it. And similarly, when you look at the car and what we have understood from some of the first impression videos that we've seen from European publications, the interior quality is still not going in the Kia Seltos or MG Aster direction where it's trying to become super duper rich. So fundamentally, this is still very much going to be a utilitarian vehicle that is getting the dressings of modernity to make sure that this is not something that's impossible to live with, or becoming a one-trick pony only for those people who want a car that is purely frill-free.
Correct. And I remember having this discussion with you when we said that the Duster is going to do to the 4.3 meter segment what the Kiger and the Magnite did to the sub 4 meter segment.
Based on what we see right now.
Based on what we see right now. Because what you're getting is a vehicle that is the same size. It might skimp out on a few good to have / feel good features, right? It might compromise a little bit on the way it feels on the inside. But the upside to it is that you get a car that is the same size, is as spacious, as practical for lesser. Now, with the old one, any time that anyone spoke of the Duster, you would think of the legendary 1.5 liter K9K diesel. 85
and 110 PS.
Little lag and lot of lag.
That's how we named them.
Then there was the 1.3 turbo, which was quite fun to drive. Then there was the legendary all-wheel drive. Do you want to take us through what is expected or what is at least offered in the global spec?
So that's the one thing that we remember about the Duster fundamentally, that even today, even though cars have gotten great with their ride comfort and all, the benchmark in many ways is still the Duster, because it was meant for dealing with roads when they stopped being roads. Especially with the Duster all-wheel drive, that was something that was just simply phenomenal. And they didn't really market it as a car for its ride quality, but that was easily one of its ultimate selling points. And since we are on the all-wheel drive, that is what we were referring to when it came to the range of ground clearances, because there is going to be a front-wheel drive Duster, obviously, but there is the option of all-wheel drive even with this Duster, although even that all-wheel drive system will still be front-biased. Now, if you're talking about the powertrains though, since you mentioned the K9K diesel, there's going to be some bad news on that front, and it's not something of a surprise, right? Diesels have been going away from the mass market, even in luxury brands. Diesel's sort of losing its popularity quite quickly. What you do have with the international version that's been revealed, there are three options that we've known of so far in Europe. There's a 1 liter 3-cylinder twin fuel option, LPG and petrol. That is available only with a manual transmission, I believe. Then there is a 1.2 liter 3-cylinder mild hybrid option that gets the manual as well as the all-wheel drive. And then there is an engine option that, at least in India, we won't really associate with Renault as a brand or even Nissan, a strong hybrid, a 1.6 liter 4-cylinder strong hybrid, and that will be an automatic in itself. So I don't want to get into what option is going to make its way to India. It could be any of these, it could be none of them, right? It doesn't make sense to speculate for the sake of it. Just giving you an idea of what kind of options that Dacia, not Renault, is offering with the Duster in Europe. When it's going to come over here, well, the date, right? That is one thing. We've seen some fantastic memes on in the internet, on Instagram specifically. The Duster, yes, it is an important product. Yes, Renault is going to start getting a lot more active from 2024. But the Duster is something that at most we might be seeing a reveal of towards the end of 2024.
Yeah.
But a price announcement plus launch is realistic looking at 2025.
Okay, so that is a long time away, but I hope Renault kind of sustains the hype, right? Because the Duster is the product that put Renault on the Indian buyer's map,
Yeah.
right? And it is the product that I think can lead them into a new era where, you know, they become a
Definitely.
properly competitive brand all over
In a
again.
unique way.
In a unique way.
And that is the long and short of the Duster from our side and what we've understood from the Dacia Duster.
Yeah.
What you expect for the India spec Renault Duster is something that you need to let us and Renault know in the comment section. I'm sure they'll be watching videos like this as well. Go ahead, drop that in the comment section. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like and share this video whether you liked it or not. Well, you can dislike it if you didn't like it.
Yeah.
And make sure you follow us on Instagram as well. Thanks enough for watching and goodbye.
Bye.